what's it like to be married. I'm here to find out what it's like to be married. I have never been married. I don't know if I ever will.
Such a broad question.
Exactly.
It's like, I don't know, I can say, well, because I can say how it is for us to be married.
Mm-hmm.
It's good. I really like marriage.
Good.
I don't know where to start with that question.
Fair enough.
Well, I can say that I liked being single. There are a lot of fun things about being single and a lot of things that you can do when you're single that aren't as easy when you're married. But getting married and contrasting my life before when I was single and my life being married, I like being married better. It's great. You always have a friend, you know, that you get to see every single day, like that sense of continuity and like building a relationship with one person and building a life together with one person and having that stability is really, really nice. I know when I was single, when I graduated from grad school, there were several girls that I was close with in my MBA program, and we're all single and thinking about where we're going to go and all of these kinds of things. And one of the things that we talked about that's difficult about being single is eventually your friends move on, and so you're constantly having to rebuild the tight, close relationships in your life of the people who are physically there. And that has been, obviously you still need close friends even when you're married who are outside of your family, but that has been one thing that I've really loved about marriage is just having that one stable friend who, you know, will always be there and throughout the rest of your life, and that you don't have to, you know, think, well, as soon as this person goes and gets a job somewhere else, or I love that about it.
That's a good perspective. I completely can sort of identify with that feeling. There's, especially working at BYU in a sort of transient town, nobody stays in Provo, you know, and yeah, finding myself getting frustrated at moments of saying, everybody else is moving or moving on or getting married, and yeah, it's not until you sort of sense that contrast.
And you have to start your core social circle over again several times. Mm-hmm. Once you're like in your 30s and beyond, when you're married, you've done that a million, and you're single, you've done that a million times, it feels.
Kind of gets sick of it.
Yeah. Even though it's great to like make new friends, it's hard socially, I think, to feel like you're constantly starting over.
Yeah, so to have that core.
Yeah,
you know,
I love it.
Go home to your friend.
Uh-huh.
You know, people
my one friend that knows me.
Recognize the value of that, probably.
Yeah. And I felt the same way before I got married. Like, I was really happy single. And I feel like there was almost this hump, like, you know, you get home from your mission and there's this expectation that you're going to get married, right, soon. And after I got past the angst of that, like, I really, really liked being single. And I wouldn't have got married unless I thought marriage was going to be better than being single. Because I got to one point where I just thought, oh, like, unless it's better than this, like, I'm not going there, you know? And so, I mean, meeting Danielle, I mean, there was that element of like, I mean, everything felt right. There was a lot of elements. It was emotional, spiritual, a lot of things. But marriage, there is that element of just companionship. I think it's a real crucible. Like, it really challenges selfishness. Because there's a lot of ways in which, because we were both older. She was 34, I was 33. Is that right? No, I'm 33 right now. I was 32 and you were?
33.
Yeah.
So I was 33, you were 32.
Yeah. So we were both older. And it said I was fairly comfortable, maybe not set in my ways, but definitely comfortable in my ways. And it's an adjustment to change your world for somebody else, you know. And even like when we got married, like little things, like because I was pretty established. Like, I lived here, I had my own place, you know, I was settled there. I didn't know how long I'd be here, but I was pretty settled. And she came in, I was like, okay, this is your place too. Do what you want with the place. And all she did was change the pillows on the couch. And I thought, what are you doing? Like, why? What's wrong with my pillows? You know, like, and so like little things. It was little by little. Like she had to chip her way in. You know.
Right.
And
But-
we did change the pillows back, so these are Ty's pillows.
But that was her choice.
Yeah, that was my choice. I was like, I guess his did make more sense. Mine didn't make sense. So
But
It's a
there,
good try.
that element of just challenging, being there for another person, living not just for yourself, but for another person, being mindful of somebody else all the time.
Mhm.
It's a very sanctifying
Mhm.
experience, I think, and I love it. So it's good, and you know, to answer your question very generally.
yeah, I think going along with what Ty said, from a very personal, individual perspective, I feel like I'm a much better person from the time that we started dating to engagement to marriage. It's been a much quicker process of me progressing as an individual and becoming more mature and just, I think, a better person overall.
Mhm.
Happened so much more quickly
Mhm.
from the time that I met Ty. And, you know, part of that could be because Ty's so great. But I think another aspect of it is just having that relationship where you have to work through things and you have to be mindful of this other person and you actually want to. You actually care about whether or not that other person is happy and how your behavior is impacting them. And so that was something that really affected. I still have a lot of quirky habits that I'm sure are annoying from time to time, but it's really helped to, I think, chip away some of the edges from my personality, some of the selfishness. And, you know, one thing that Ty and I have talked about a lot too is just that we're a team. And so we face the world as a team. That's also something that I love about being married, is being able to take on whatever challenges we have, whether it's buying a house together or just dealing with our finances in a broad sense or raising a child or picking out, you know, rugs for, you know, decorating the house, from all these little decisions that you have someone who's on the same team as you and that you're making all these decisions together. And that is really great to feel like there's someone who actually cares that can be your sounding board and your partner and everything. So I love that too.
Yeah, definitely a stabilizing.
Mm-hmm.
And in your specific situation, you guys have added layers of complexity that not everybody necessarily has, but which I'm not going to put words to. I'll let you guys describe. How would you describe your situation in terms of your backgrounds, your experiences in life, and you know how that is to be married? In terms of
What are you like? To at least give us some direction as to what you're alluding to there.
obviously there's mixed orientation or whatever. That's why I don't want to put words to it. You guys describe and come at it however you want to.
So you want, it's like specifically the homosexual stuff.
If you do, it's just literally I want it.
Hi, he's waking up, so I'm not sure exactly how this is going to change the dynamics of the interview.
Do you want me to take him and try to feed him real quick?
Yeah.
I think the funny thing about it is, you know, obviously we understand what a mixed orientation marriage is. Someone who has same-sex attraction and someone who doesn't. And first off, I just have to say that I've always felt like mixed orientation is a dumb term for it because it's really same orientation, and that we're both oriented towards males. But at the same time, I don't really feel like, I never think of myself, hey baby, hey, do you want to drink some milk? I never think of myself as being in a mixed orientation marriage.
Or whatever that means
Yeah,
to other
yeah.
people.
I never think of myself as that. And I never think of myself as,
I would agree. I don't really feel that way either.
yeah, being married to, I don't think of myself as I'm married to a gay man, I'm married to a homosexual man, or I'm married to even a man with same-sex attraction. It just, when I think about my marriage, when I think about my relationship with Ty, I just don't ever think about it in those ways. So it's interesting to hear you say, like the different nuances or whatever the verbiage you used of our marriage. I feel like our marriage is very typical of most marriages in the United States or in the LDS Church or whatever it is. I feel like we're pretty average. Like the things that, Ty and I talk about this a lot, the things that we maybe argue about or struggle with are our budget, how we spend our money, you know, what other things do we? I can't even think of things, but it's
trying
just
to
like
find time together
Yeah.
because we both work full time.
balancing like our work
I'm working
schedules
full time and
and
going to school full time, and so it's like, when are we going to have time together? And so,
Mhm.
so like the finances, as far as like the sexuality piece, the sexual piece of marriage, like that's never been an issue for us. We probably have struggled much more because we both came into. I mean, between the two of us, we've got 5 degrees, so we're leaving with a lot of student debt,
Mm.
and so most of our angst is trying to get out of as much debt as we possibly can, because we can live off my income right now, but we can't pay debt off my income.
Mm.
And we're hair loans are in repayment. So those, all that to say, like, they just are, the things that we struggle with feel very typical.
Mhm.
Were you gonna say something?
Nope.
Oh,
Mhm.
and that's how I think that's how it's always felt.
Mhm.
And so I don't really know what
Yeah,
to
I
add
will
there, but
say though, I've been thinking a lot about this the past few days. I will say that, my first thought at thinking about that question of what is it like to be married to a homosexual man, my first thought is, what a dumb question, like, because I'm not, and yet I have to admit that when Ty and I first started dating, I didn't have that. Okay, sorry, you can have it back. Here, open. When we first started dating, I had the same questions and the same lack of understanding that most people have around it, and we had a lot of discussions early on. Oh, he's sad. Early on in our engagement and in our dating around what does this look like, with Ty understanding where he was coming from, but me not understanding where Ty was coming from, and just trying to feel things out and understand what does this mean for us. And so for the first little bit of just like the defining part of it, I think I was where most people are, where you don't know what it means.
Yeah.
And
Because on the surface it
Yeah.
What?
yeah, and I knew Ty loved me. I should back up a little bit and just say that I've known who Ty was for 14, 15 years, something like that,
Yeah.
since he was a freshman in college.
Yeah.
And I may or may not have thought he was really cute and had a crush on him for a really long time.
Yeah, yeah.
But,
I think I read that in your on
yeah.
your marriage blog.
Yeah, our story.
yeah.
Can't
And
get rid of
so then I knew when he wrote his first book about his experience with this issue of same-sex attraction and coming to terms with it himself, I knew that he wrote that book.
Yeah.
And so when he asked me out in December of 2009, I didn't even know it was a date, because I didn't
'cause-
understand where he was.
Interesting.
And so,
And
like,
one of the running jokes in the beginning was that, I was dating her long before she was dating me.
yeah.
Like,
Like, we went out on 5 dates before.
Yeah.
I was like, I think Ty is trying to date me. Where, I've had guys pay for my meals before, and it was just platonic and friends, and we'd just go do things, just the two of us, and all this other stuff. And so to me, the fact that Ty was making the dates look like dates and feel like dates meant nothing.
Yeah.
It's just like, we're doing these things, and isn't this interesting? And then
What gave you the clue?
we went to, so it was, I think, New Year's Eve when I really started thinking, what's going on? Because I had a friend who was in from out of town, and of course I wanted to see her, and we said, let's do something together for New Year's Eve. And then probably 2 days before, Ty called me and, or texted me, whatever it was, and asked me if I wanted to come to this party at a friend's house for New Year's Eve. And I thought, sure, can I bring my friend? And he said, as long as she brings her own date. And I thought, okay, then I guess I'll just tell her to not come. And so I went to this thing, and it was a dinner, and as I was introduced to people, everyone was in couples. A lot of people said things like, it's so nice to meet you, I've heard so much about you. And I thought, why would you have heard so much about me? I was like, why is Ty talking about me? This is really weird.
Wow.
And it was just over the course of this evening, New Year's Eve, that I started to think, does he actually like me? And what does that mean? And so that night I went home and I Googled Ty and Googled like all this stuff, trying to understand, like, because to be honest, I didn't even know that people who ever experienced same-sex attraction ever married a member of the opposite sex.
Right.
I'd never heard of it. And
Yeah.
so I didn't know what that was or what that looked like. And so I stayed up all night just like reading things online about other people's experiences, you know, some of what Ty had said about his experiences or his thoughts on marriage and all this stuff. And this is, I mean, it sounds like, if you take it out of context, it sounds like I'm ridiculous and that I was desperate to get married or something, which I wasn't. But put into the context of our whole courtship, felt very guided and very inspired. It makes sense that after that evening of reading all this stuff, I thought, well, if Ty is trying to date me, and if he is interested in pursuing that with the thought of maybe marrying me, I could marry Ty Mansfield. And I wasn't in love with him at that time, obviously, but he was the kind of person I'd always wanted to marry. He was very, very good and kind and a strong and active member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and actually not just an active member of it, but he actually believed those things. And so to me, all of those things that I'd always wanted in a spouse were very evident in Ty. And so I didn't understand what it meant to date someone who I knew experienced same-sex attraction, but because Ty was who Ty is, and I knew that about his personality and his character, I thought, okay, I'm interested.